Most recently, we have received a lot of questions from all over the world, sincerely asking us to let everyone know the difference between teachers who are dedicated to walking the awake path and awakened teachers. This has been a question you all have asked many times already. However, we wanted to save this question and answer it during this Buddha birthday season this year. Are you all ready? If we all are Buddhists and students, when we hear teachers open Dharma teachings for us to know about awake, or to know about the path to wake up and liberate suffering, and show us how to practice in order to wake up and liberate suffering, then we as students, how can we thoroughly understand the difference? For us to even understand what the two words wake up mean, what does it mean to liberate? And for a teacher to help us thoroughly understand this is already what? It's already rare, right? So to even know more about what is the difference between an awakened teacher versus a teacher who is dedicated to walking the awake path. Actually, we shouldn't need to tell you this because this is something each person should come to find out for themselves and experience for themselves. But perhaps to wait for you all to experience and find out for yourselves, then what? Then what? Too hard, too long, right? So today, during the Buddha birthday season, we would like to share with you all and let you see the difference between both. Of course, we cannot say everything, but the differences. But we can mention some parts so that you can see the difference, so that when you seek a teacher, you will know who is the teacher you should trust and follow. Usually, those teachers who are practicing on the way, heading to the ultimate destination, they always know that the awake destination is the world that is open, empty, free, and immaculate. And on the way of practicing, they should thoroughly understand that when facing outside objects, they should be undisturbed. And they should thoroughly understand 6 senses don't attach to the 6 objects of the senses. And they should thoroughly understand that on the path to return to the pure serene essence, that they should not get stuck on the 2 shores. In other words, duality. Those are the main key points of those who are practicing to return home and completely live in that pure essence. But that is for those who are practicing on the path, which means in daily living still stuck on 2 shores. Their daily life still stuck when facing outside objects. And the mind is still disturbed. In daily living, 6 senses still running after 6 objects of the senses. but because they have the main key points. So that helps remind them to go back and realize the place with no attachments, the place with no entanglements. And reminds them to completely return to the living, the awake living. So you see, in there still needs to practice. In other words, they have not completely returned, therefore, have to practice. But on the way practicing, they will still be affected by the I and the my. Still has this side and that side. And everyday life is still not truly open, empty, free, still truly not serene, still truly not immaculate. Therefore, the way they teach students can only be taught based on their practice. Can you follow? Meaning, the way they practice, however they practice, they show the students to practice in that same way. Therefore, still stuck on methods, still stuck on practicing, still stuck on what? Still stuck on what? Meaning, still stuck on the Dharma methods. Even though they still talk about awake, they still talk about facing outside objects and not being disturbed, still talk about the six senses not attached on six objects of the six senses, still talk about not being stuck on two shores, still talk about it, but still practicing on the way towards the awake destination. Well, then that is different from an awakened teacher. How? In what way? An awakened teacher has returned home completely, lives in that pure essence, open, empty, free, and immaculate. And an awakened teacher does not have to practice, which means daily living has become serene. Daily living has become immaculate. Daily living has become open, empty, free. And that destination no longer needs to talk about being disturbed when facing outside objects, because it's already undisturbed. And in that place, they no longer have to practice, so that six senses not attached on six objects of the senses. The nature of it does not attach to any six senses or objects of the six senses. And that place is no longer stuck on two shores, because in that place is completely open, empty, free, serene, immaculate. And because of open, empty, free, serene, immaculate, that place automatically generates wisdom. From the pure essence generates wisdom. From that wisdom can thoroughly see human minds. Thoroughly see where students' attachments are. Thoroughly see that each student has the capacity to wake up. Therefore, depending on the situation, open the mind and pinpoint, wake up the capacity to awaken in each student, not use any method to hand down to students. But right at that moment, open mind and pinpoint. Also, the awakened teachers Because they can thoroughly see where each student is attached, where they are stuck, and what way the students practice. Awakened teachers have the ability to thoroughly see through. Therefore, the way to wake them up is right on the spot. All because the awakened teachers have completely returned home, living in that place of serenity, open, empty, free, and immaculate. Therefore, that place has unconditional love, which means standing in front of anyone, the love always has no discrimination. The love is immense, open, and vast. No matter how that person is, believe or not believe, fight against or criticize, however they are, the awakened teachers love them all the same. When we say so, you have to check. So that when you follow a teacher to practice, you can feel the awake living of an awakened teacher is different from other teachers practicing to walk on the awake path. You will also see that in the awake living of awakened teachers, morning, afternoon, evening, every moment is serene. Every moment is immaculate, always open, empty, free, not sometimes serene and other times not serene. Sometimes tainted, other time immaculate. It's always there, morning, afternoon, evening. Also, the wisdom of an awakened teacher emanates from the pure essence at any moment. Also, unconditional love emanates each and every moment. And the specialty of an awakened teacher is from that pure essence. The awake tools to wake people up is very spontaneous and dynamic. They can use any awake tool right on the spot. Sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes in the garden, sometimes in the meditation hall, sometimes in the car. At any moment, awakened teachers can right on the spot wake up the capacity for students to awaken. Therefore, the awake tools emanated from awakened teachers between teacher and student. The student will receive it. When the awakened teachers pinpoint right on the spot, the student will receive it and receive it all the way to the ultimate source, or receive very clear realization about the attachment within the inner mind. Right there, the attachments fall apart. And also, the special part about awakened teachers is the great vow to wake people up. In the awake living of awakened teachers, there is only the great vow to wake people up, nothing else. But how to bring people back to the pure, serene essence, open, empty, free, and immaculate. So, you see the difference? One side really dynamic, spontaneous, sharp, open, empty, free, immaculate, and no attachments, regardless of any situation. One has awake destination, has to practice, but has not returned home completely. Therefore, still has attachments and still stuck, and also still has to practice in order to let go, to return home. Do you understand? What it means is that one side has to practice to return home. One side has to practice to let go of the attachments. One side has to practice so that the six senses don't attach to objects of six senses. They need to face outside objects and not be disturbed. which means they are already attached. Then they practice to let go. They are stuck on two shores. They practice to let go. Their minds are disturbed already and practice to let go. Those on the awake path, they know that their awake destination is to return to that pure essence, open, empty, free, immaculate. Therefore, they have to return home. But their karma, the source of ignorance and attachments, are still there. But because they have the desire to wake up, to liberate, therefore, when they are faced with outside objects and disturbed in the mind, that moment simply reminds them the awake destination and reminds them to let go. Having to practice on the way to awake and having not returned completely, they cannot emanate the wisdom from the pure source, serene, open, empty, free, and immaculate, because they have not been able to completely break apart the source of illusions of ignorance, greed, and hatred, have not completely returned back to Buddha's essence. Therefore, the inside still has dirt. That's called the debris. The inside still has the dirt, so that place cannot generate wisdom. Inside still has dirt, so that place cannot generate unconditional love. Inside still has the dirt, therefore cannot have the awake tools to wake people up. Inside still has the dirt, therefore the great vow to help all people wake up and become Buddha has not developed. For awakened teachers, they have completely returned home to the pure essence. They have already completely broken down the whole source of ignorance, greed, and hatred, and anger. Therefore, the dirty debris was completely broken apart and thoroughly realized and disappeared. And the living has transformed to open, empty, free, serene, and immaculate, and no longer stuck on this side or that side. No more talk about six senses not attached to six objects of six senses. No need to practice in there. Its nature doesn't stick. Its nature is undisturbed. Its nature isn't stuck. And from that place, the way to wake people up is full. Waking people up is miraculous. From that place is the only place that has the capacity to help sentient beings to merge into awake and liberate from the source of ignorance, greed, hatred. So you see the difference clearly? Is it clear?